It is my biggest pleasure to welcome you at the Solution Generator Conference of this year's Young Bled Strategic Forum. But before we begin discussing, I propose we see what we just missed, summer in Bled. This was the view through the eyes of the creative young Slovenians, production group Visualist, and we are honored to have two members of this team joining us here today as members of the Young Bled Strategic Forum. This year, Young BSF started in June when 50 of us defined the challenges, and then over the summer we commented them and voted on them online. And today we are here for the Solution Conference, where we would like to find the solutions. And at the end, we would like to create a to-do list of things that each of us has to do so that we can together take a step further. And we are also very grateful to have the opportunity to discussing these solutions at this beautiful campus of IEDC Bled School of Management. They open-handedly offered to be our hosts. And now I would like to ask IEDC President and Dean, Professor Dr. Danica Purk, to give us her welcoming words. Please.
Your Excellency, Mrs. Bratušek, Prime Minister of Republic of Slovenia, dear Ambassador and Secretary General of Bled Strategic Forum, Mr. Brian Bergant, dear ladies and gentlemen, dear young leaders. I'm very pleased to welcome you all today at IEDC Bled School of Management, and especially to see so many young people, future leaders from the whole world. IEDC Bled School of Management is an institution which cares a lot about the leadership for the future. Yearly, we have a larger number of high-quality events, and a special energy is felt when a group of well-educated, motivated, and young people are gathering in the school. This can be Young Managers Program or Discover Manager Program or Challenge Future, a global internet-based innovation competition. In last year it was about sustainable development innovations in. This year is at the end of September when the winners from the whole world come, and it will be about creating jobs. And today, the Young Bled Strategic Forum. We all know that one of the greatest issues of this time is the unemployment of young people. And although this problem is not as such the topic of this forum, all introductions and discussions are related to it. The importance of and the role of education, creativity, innovation, new tools, new rules, social entrepreneurship, digital evolution, and last but not least, ethics, not only as a mindset and condition for a better world, but also as a basis for new and sustainable opportunities. The most happy I am with those topics on the agenda that don't just point out what others, government, politicians, etc., could or have to do, but that stress what young people could do by themselves, how they could contribute to reach a better world. This forum is a wonderful occasion to listen to the ideas and proposals of older and morally, wiser and experienced people, but more than that, it is a unique occasion for you, young people, young leaders from many countries and all continents to stimulate each other and decide to take the responsibility for today and tomorrow. I just returned from Albach Forum, which also includes and pay a special attention to young generation. Dr. Erhard Busek, who is with us, the former Vice Chancellor of Austria, he was for 15 years leading Albach Forum, and he succeeded to bring together these people, and generations of these people are already, coming every year, learning there, contributing. One thing that, and they were at this forum 800. I'm sure that Mr. Busek will talk about that. And what I was there, a little bit, how shall I say, the older generation was telling all the time, we are really making a bad world, but we hope that you, in the future, you will do it. And then I was thinking, we should not destroy it today, because there will be nothing left for the future. That was one thing which I had in mind all the time, listening to this. And the other thing which I had in mind too was the young generation. We should not wait till tomorrow that you start. You should start today. And I have a good feeling that that is happening. I'm also very happy you will have a fantastic speakers. I was looking last night, coming back to the speakers, to the guest speakers you will have, starting with the Prime Minister, with the Minister of Education, Mr. Pikalo, with Erhard Busek, who was, as I said, leading Albach Forum for 15 years, Jean-Pierre Leman, who is our professor he was our first foreign professor. I know that they will introduce them all, but allow me to, just because I'm very emotional, to talk about people with whom I work already for so many years, and who are really, in whom I believe that they will courageously resolve the problems, not only of Slovenia, but also the rest of the world. They came here to share with you their wisdom, but they also came here to listen to you. I would like to wish you a very fruitful day, and I would like to welcome you once again. And of course, I'm sure that my team, led by Barbara Wilfan, will make it as great as possible. Thank you very much, and once again, enjoy the conference.
Thank you, Dr. Purk. A few years ago, we realized that discussions among heads of states are not enough to just address all the issues that we have at stake. And then it was decided that we would like to create another branch of the Bled Strategic Forum, Young Bled Strategic Forum. And this year especially, the biggest fan and biggest supporter of this forum inside the team was our Secretary General, Ambassador Brian Bergant, and I would like to ask him to share some welcoming words with us as well. Please, Brian.
Thank you, Tim. Thank you for kind words. Madam Prime Minister Bratušek, Minister Pikalo, Madam Dean Purk, distinguished participants and guests, dear colleagues and friends. It is a great honor and pleasure to welcome you here to Bled for the final stage of the third BSF Young Forum 2013 on behalf of the Minister of Foreign Affairs of the Republic of Slovenia, Karel Lijavec, and the co-organizers of the Young BSF Solution Generator Conference, the Center for the European Perspective. At this point, I would especially like to welcome our international guests, the young professionals and future leaders from Argentina, Austria, Belgium, Bosnia and Herzegovina, Croatia, Czech Republic, Finland, Germany, Hungary, Iceland, India, Israel, Italy, Macedonia, Poland, Slovakia, Switzerland, Turkey, the United Kingdom, and the United States of America, and of course, to all participants from Slovenia. Since 2010, when the Young BSF was launched, we have been encouraging young people to discuss global prospects, trying to find new ideas, solutions, and perspective for a better tomorrow. This year, for the first time, we divided the Young BSF into 3 stages. Today, the final stage is before us. We will try to find possible direction and solution to the various challenges we defined at the June Challenge Conference and the ideas proposed in the summer via the online platform. Ladies and gentlemen, a word or two about the Bled Strategic Forum. Over the past 7 years, it has grown into a successful platform for high-level strategic dialogue among leaders from the private and public sectors on the key issues facing Europe and the world in the 21st century. This year's forum will be held under the title A Changing Europe in a Changing World. Honoring the European Year of Citizens, the forum will address topical global and regional issues relevant particularly to Europe. The panel will discuss the prospects for Europe and the European Monetary Union. The discussion will also address the enlargement policy. The panels will take stock of EU-Turkey relations, the current state of affairs of the progress made in the Western Balkan countries, focusing particularly on which of them will follow Croatia. A separate panel will be devoted to the links between the international criminal justice, guaranteeing justice in general, and the economic prospects of the countries undergoing the post-conflict reconstruction. Finally, the forum will focus on the environment, especially water, the source of life, which is a bond-connecting region, also offering an opportunity for closer cooperation, trust, peace, and stability in the Middle East and North Africa. The issue features high on the UN agenda, with 2013 as the International Year of Water Cooperation. The second Business BSF, organized in a cooperation with the Slovenian-Russian Business Council, the IEDC Bled School of Management is dedicated to the economic perspectives of Russia and Central Asia, while the Night Owl session will focus on how to create a mindset for developing high technology. Ladies and gentlemen, before we begin, I would like to take this opportunity to thank our friends and partners, our strategic partners, the ICD Bled School of Management, the British Council, and the City of Ljubljana. Special thanks go to our corporate partners, Bisnote, Generali Zavarovalnica, Microsoft Slovenia, and Studio Moderna, and all our partners who, by supporting us and helping us to organize this event, despite the dire economic situation, have shown their concern for and believe in the power of the future of the young. In conclusion, I would like to thank you all for coming. Your experience, creative energy, expertise and readiness to share. Your knowledge and fresh ideas are highly valuable and needed. I wish you all fruitful discussion, innovative thinking, and the most enjoyable stay here in Slovenia. I do hope that the scenery of Bled, with its inspiring surroundings and picturesque Alpine Lake, will fascinate and inspire you to return to Bled soon, as well as to the next Bled Strategic Forum, which will be held between 31st August and 2nd September next year. Last but not least, my great thanks go to the young BSF team, the enthusiastic young professionals from the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, our volunteers, and especially to Tim, the program director and the energetic driving force behind the young BSF, who has professionally inspiredly led this year's concept. Please give them a big round of applause. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Brian. Young BSF is designed to provide a platform for a young generation to discuss our issues, open questions, and challenges among ourselves and with others. And it is my biggest pleasure that Prime Minister of Slovenia, Ms. Alenka Bratušek, recognizes the Young Forum as relevant and necessary. Her presence here today is an additional proof of that. Now I would like to ask Prime Minister Bratušek to officially open this conference. Madam Prime Minister, please.
Dear young entrepreneurs, visionaries, and future leaders, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. Over the past 6 months, I participated in many meetings where youth issues were at the center of the discussion. I debated youth policies at Slovenian government sessions with youth organizations and private sector, within my own party and also at the meetings of the European Council. And I realized that a discussion about youth without a proper context very quickly becomes like a labyrinth without an exit. And by context, I mean taking into account all phases of the society. While the world is in the midst of turmoil and we are talking about pension reforms, social welfare, redefining our educational system, fixing public finances, and about helping private sector start making money again, we often forget that all these things are closely linked. Trying to fix just youth unemployment, for example, is impossible. We need to figure out the way how we can get out of the current situation as a whole society. And this is why I felt the importance not to address just the leaders that will be attending the main Bled Forum tomorrow, but to also come here today and encourage you, future leaders, to tackle the challenges that you face, not only as young people, but the challenges that we all face together. Today, I wish that you put all your creativity and enthusiasm into finding the solutions and creating a to-do list for governments, private companies, and yourselves. Each of us has to play our own role and do our part so that we can collectively make changes happen. Let me try to add some of key challenges which should, in my opinion, definitely find place on this to-do list. Keywords in no particular order: cooperation between generations, education, digital revolution, innovation, ethics, ambition, and proactivity. Cooperation between generations can be a catalyst of change, and education is the key to this change. Each generation has something to offer. Let it be entrepreneurship experience, knowledge, digital skills, know-how. Once this is shared among generations, your and our challenges can be tackled. Digital revolution provides information gathering on all possible levels and sectors, but, and this is important, It must include ethics and ethical behavior. Ambition is an important element of success, but equally important are innovation and ideas. It is crucial for young people to take risks, overcome personal reservations, and be ambitious about their ideas and dreams. Young people today should not only work hard, but also be proactive and seeing and providing possibilities. Solving youth unemployment is one of the key priorities of the Slovenian government. We realize our part in improving your situation, and we are working hard to provide you with more job opportunities, better education, and with incentives to become financially independent. I promise you that I will examine the outcome of this conference and will take my part in addressing the need of young generation with full responsibility. Welcome in Slovenia, and thank you.
Thank you, Prime Minister. Prime Minister has a lot of obligations. You've heard how busy this forum is and how many high-level guests are, so we will allow her to commit her time also to others. Thank you, Prime Minister. But we will continue and start with our first keynote speech. Before that, we'll allow Prime Minister to take off to other obligations. Thank you. And now to our first plenary keynote session. In June, we defined the challenges, and then we found out that there are two main issues, two cross-cutting themes actually that come up anything we speak about, and these were education and ethics. This is why we designed this conference today in a way so that we will look at education and ethics from different perspectives and through the lenses of our three main topics. But before that, we have invited some of our high guests to address us, to inspire us, to provoke us, and to give us some food for thought. I will not address them very thoroughly because you have all received their names and you know what to do. You just Google them and you have all about them. So I'll be very short and ask Professor Dr. Jernej Pikalo, Slovenian Minister of Education, Science and Sport, to start the education keynote session and share his thoughts with us. Please, Minister.
Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, fellows of this great event. Obviously, I feel privileged to be here. It's one of those things that you hope that you will get your slot in such a great conference, and this is one of those things that, so thank you very much. But as you know, as Henry VIII said to his many wives, he had more than one, I will not keep you long. So let me say a few words about the educational system. Education, when you think about it, is always between core, that is things that you have to learn, and on the other hand, the novelties. So you always are trying to find the right balance between the core things, the things that we're learning through the generations, and the novelties. How you introduce novelties, how you introduce new things. And education has long ceased to be just a transfer of knowledge. It is not just a transfer of knowledge. It is essential in the promotion of core values, the things where our democracies are based on. That is human rights, rule of law, and education, of course, is defense against violence, against racism, against xenophobia, and against extremism. So education has moved forward. It is, again, it is between these two extremes, the core and the novelty. So the novelty, at least to my mind, are two things. First being meritocracy. If we haven't built this idea that the best must be the best and must also progress in the best possible way, it is high time that we introduce it into our educational system or even make it stronger. Why? Because this is the only way that we can make a step forward, by meritocracy. So awarding those that are simply doing better. And in the educational system, this can be done. And second novelty that is of high priority these days, not just in Europe, but also in other places where you already have a lot of educated people. But there is a difference between those educated people. And this little difference is what we call informal competences. That is things that you don't learn in a school, but you learn in other environments. You learn by doing. You learn by being apprentice. You learn by doing lots of other things. So this is something that counts. Not just because you learn additional skills, but because simply you develop social network. You become part of social networks because you cooperate more informally with the people. And that is education as well. And informal competences are also a question of how you relate to the other generations. Because other generations, that is older, teachers, your mentors, etc., they don't just have the knowledge, they have the experience, and they have ethics. And this is something that really, really counts. So formal on one hand, but informal and other things on the other hand. That's why, in my mind, it is so important that we make a teaching profession attractive again. Because teaching is not, as I was saying, just the transfer of knowledge. It is also an ethical issue. It is also about whether you're driven by it or you're not. Or as we say in the teaching profession, whether you have pedagogical eros or you don't. So you're committed, not just professionally, but also ethically and within yourself. And those of us, and if I may say this on a rather personal note, I'm a second generation of teachers, so to speak, in my family. I think, at least to me, this is something that's very important, that I like working with students, that I like showing them things, that it's not just those 45 minutes or hour and a half that I have. It's more than that. It's by showing by the example. So I think there is a lot of capital in the schools. It's not just capital in its buildings, but it's primarily in the people. So the thing that we need to do, we that deal with educational system, is we need to release the energy. So schools should be hubs of social life, and schools should, to an extent, to where they deem possible, and of course desiring, also act as businesses. This is important as well in releasing this energy that we have in schools. Now we all know that education has become global industry. We all know that also our employment industries and employment opportunities these days are global. So in addressing this mobility, our schools, our educational systems must and should adopt also to that issue. We have a relatively good set of policies in terms of the European Union, the way people are mobile, the way people exchange, and so on. But there are other challenges, global challenges, on a global movement of people. And I hope that you will be discussing these issues in terms of education also today. So welcome to this great country. And I personally love this town. So if you ever come back, welcome. And please do take an hour at least, or a day, if you can, to go around, it's one of those things that really calms you down. So thank you so much, and hopefully you'll have a very fruitful conference. Thank you.
Thank you, Minister. They say we need to listen to the teachers, and our minister is also a teacher, but please, when you listen to him to go around the town, don't do it today. Do it some other day, okay? And now our second keynote speaker is Mr. Jan Mulfeit. He is Chairman Europe for Microsoft Corporation, but he's many other things, but I promise no long introduction, so I'll allow him to say more about himself and also about education and this topic today. Please, Mr. Mulfeit, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Minister. Dear ladies and gentlemen, good morning. From your particular field, I am the advisor of the European Commissioner, Mrs. Vassiliou, for education. That's the group of 6 people we were appointed by the European Council. We are led by Mary McAllis, who used to be the president in Ireland, and we worked like for 3 years to improve education in Europe. So you expect probably from me very serious speech, but I will not be serious. You know, tomorrow there is a first day when the kids are, in majority of the countries, kids are, you know, going to the schools in Europe. So I will tell you the story, how small rabbits did in the school for 3 days. Small rabbit comes, you know, home from the first, you know, school day. Mom is asking, Rabbit, you are so happy. What's going on? And he said, well, there was a school, Mom, in jumping, and I was number 1, so I'm very happy. Second day, he is happy, but it's like cooling down. And Mom is again asking, Rabbit, what happened? There was a competition, Mom, in, you know, running, and I was number 3, so still bronze medal. Third day, Rabbit is crying, and Mom is saying, oh, Jesus Christ, Rabbit, what happened to you? And he said, Mom, there was a competition in swimming, and I was the last one. And Mom said, what, doesn't matter. But he said, but my teacher told me, Mom, that till the end of my life, I will spend, because I'm so bad in swimming, I will do only swimming because I'm so bad in that. And ladies and gentlemen, unfortunately, that's the school today. It's obsessed by the weaknesses of the students and the pupils. We are not betting on the talents and the strengths. And I'm a professional tennis player, so it's the same in business, school, or in sport. You never break through the weaknesses. You always break through your strengths. So we need to bet on the strengths and talents of those, you know, kids. Imagine the school where you would pick up very early where the kids are, you know, good and build on that. You may ask me, why is that? Because this school system is like 200 years old, and the model for that was a factory. And in the factory, everything is unified for the good reason. You want to have same products, same services, whatever. But we are individual learners. You are learning individually. I'm the Czech origin, as you can read from the materials. And there was a great, you know, thought leader in 1630, John Amos Comenius. He wrote a book already at that time, Schola Ludus in Latin, which means in English, school by play. And I believe that today, technology, together with the great teachers, as you know, Minister said, can deliver on that. Technology can change education in 3 big ways. Number 1, I believe that technology can, for the first time in the human history, enable individual learning style. Because if you learn more from numbers and text, that's what technology can enable today. If you learn more from the stories or pictures, you are more brain learner, you can learn through the technology. So that's one thing, enabling individual learning style. The second thing is, the learning will get, you know, global, as rightly Minister said. My daughter, she's 16 and a half. She was always like traveling with us, so a lot of friends around the world. She's never asking me if she's having an issue in the school. It's always Khan Academy, the first thing. The second thing, looking into the Skype, who is on, and she's able, like in 3 minutes, to get 4 kids from 3 different continents to help her. So it's Christina's global team, created in 4, you know, minutes, right? So learning will be global. And number 3, I think we will learn much more in the teams. Today in the school, if kids are cooperating, usually the teachers are saying, you are, you know, cheating, right? And I think the future is really in in team working, because that's also what is happening in corporations, and if you have in the real life. So this is what technology can enable. This is just a small teaser for our breakout, which I think will start in like 10-15 minutes, about technology and education. And I would end up, you were talking about Henry, I would pick up the younger guy, John Lennon. John Lennon was singing, "You may think I'm a dreamer about education, but I hope I'm not the only one." Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Milfight. And now we are done with our keynotes, and it will be up to you to speak. And as you've seen, we have created 3 breakout sessions. And all of you, when you got your accreditations, you receive little bags. Those are not gadgets or something for you to use. You can still use them, but they are to split you into groups. So you have small little white bags, and there you have 2 items. One item will determine in which group you are for the first breakout session, that's education, and the second will determine in which breakout you are for the second session. And the colors will determine where you are, and at the end you'll see our volunteers, and they will help you find the way. So the first session on education is determined by the ball pens that you have. If you have a green pen, you go to number 1. If you have a yellow pen, you go to number 2. If you have the red pen, you go to number 3. Your moderators will go with you, enjoy discussing, and we'll come back here again for the second flight of keynotes later at 11:30. There in the back, on your right or left, if you turn around, you'll see the volunteers. Thank you very much.